In the bottom right, we have from Team Root Gaming. You may know him as ViBE. He's also called Dan Sherlong. He's the USA champion. And man, you can ride that in so many different ways. I remember there was this one guy who won the Halo Championship free-for-all. Now, Halo's supposed to be played usually 4-on-4, right? But there was a free-for-all tournament, and he won $15,000 from it, which is a pretty big prize, similar to ViBE's win at WCS USA. But then, like, everything after that point was he was the U.S. champion. It was just, and like, he changed his username to the U.S. champion. Because you can change your game tags really cheap on Xbox Live, so it'd be like, everything is the U.S. champion. That's kind of like, even to this day, 4 years later, his Twitter account, he's a caster now for Halo, by the way, which is really cool. I'm really happy for his success. But he says, former Halo Pro caster, and the U.S. champion. You can ride that all the way to the grave, man. The U.S. champion, like, you're the best, and USA in something. That's insane.
My little brother is 17 years old, or he's turning 17 actually in 5 days, and he has a friend in high school who named his account AZN ViBE.
AZN ViBE.
AZN ViBE. That's how big of a fan he is.
Wow, that's really cool. Maybe he gets really good and faces ViBE one day and be like,
oh yeah, no,
Foxer versus Boxer, except it's ViBE versus Asian.
Yeah.
And at top left we have a player who's currently teamless. It's a Protoss. He's in blue. It is Alicia. Alicia is a guy that doesn't really have to play by conventional Protoss rules, but he often does, going for 2 base attacks or massive 3 base all-ins. Well, not necessarily. It kind of is all-in when you go for the Stalker, Colossus, Immortal, Sentry Push off 3 base. And that's kind of like the power of his ability to play PvZ. He's not necessarily strong in this matchup, but his attacks and his timings are equally strong both ways, so you can't necessarily just say, oh, I survived the 2 base, I'll be good.
It's absolutely right. And, I mean, the openings are going to matter a lot, but everything you mentioned is absolutely correct, Frodan. Right away, we can see that Alicia is playing a pretty greedy build. I mean, he's gone up to 17 Nexus, 17 Forge, 17 Pylon, and then he puts down a Gateway before actually putting down a Photon Cannon. Now, this is absolutely standard, but he saw his opponent did go for a relatively well-timed spawning pool. He should actually kind of be careful, but what's so comprehensive with his defense is actually this probe being here. Now, a lot of people would actually hug the 3rd base and say, I'm going to deny this 3rd base as much as possible. But Alicia instead just says, instead of doing that, I'm going to optimize my build, get my gateway out as fast as possible. If I see any Zerkin coverage on the map, I can go ahead and throw down that cannon immediately, just go ahead and wall off, make it very hard for my opponent's Zerglings to do any sort of damage, and I'm great. I love the use of this probe. I love where it's going throughout this game. Yes, it's a very standard thing to do, but you know, a lot of times it's these small little things that really differentiate the very top players from the, you know, just top.
That's right. Or as my sister used to say, the tippy top from the top. Now, ViBE is going for a pretty standard build. Ohana is a map where the 2 base Sentry Immortal on is very prevalent. Everyone knows that by now if you've been watching for the past few months, but some people who aren't familiar with it, it's very difficult to defend your 3rd base. And that's why a lot of people put the 3rd base as a center of attention. You know, you spread creep there, you get the spine crawlers there, you make sure you have an ample amount of units ready to flank all areas. But Alicia, he's the one who's in the driver's seat. You know, ViBE will be the one reacting to him if he sees anything. He
should have seen something right now. I mean, you see that hatchery go up, you're like, you have just about half now. Remember, hatcheries take 100 seconds, Nexus takes 100 seconds, and also command centers. But you see that it's around 5 minutes and 40 seconds. That means you subtract 50 seconds, you're at 4 minutes 50 seconds. That's a very, very late hatchery to be taking at the 3rd base. What does that mean? That means your opponent has the ability to do some sort of all-in, and you need to prepare for that. What is it? It's 11 roaches on the way out right now. The map is Ohana. I feel like this is a very difficult map to actually do a roach all-in, since there is a ramp, since it's very easy to actually wall off completely. But he's saying to himself, well, a lot of people don't expect it. It is a smaller map, so let's see what I can do here. I think a better map to do this particular build would have been Cloud Kingdom, but maybe ViBE just wants to start things off you know, a quick win, put his opponent on tilt, and then he can get some really nice wins as he goes into game 2 and 3.
Yeah, ViBE, well, it's a kind of tall order, but this is kind of a variation of what we saw Sen do in his matches against Rain, where he canceled the hatch and went for a massive Roach attack. Now, it's kind of interesting because the Zerglings don't even have speed. It's just a huge Roach Zergling attack. Alicia's not prepared. The Sentry is going to drop a force field. Oh, he manages to get into a really nice force field spot where the Roaches really can't attack much of the cannon. Very nicely placed, but still, he needs way more if he wants to hold us off. A second force field as well. Immortal does end up doing a lot of damage, but he's targeting down the Zerglings. The Forge is also going to drop.
Forge is going to drop, but this Forge should have dropped a lot earlier. Now he has to deal with that very pesky Immortal. The Immortal's just been doing so much damage. But second Immortal is out in the field. This should be shut down very easily. Great defense coming out from Alicia over here. That picks up the very big advantage in this game. I mean, yes, he's losing probes, but the fact that you stop that, 2 Immortals live after that, I mean, you don't really need a lot of minerals after this. You get a single Immortal and then all sentries from here on out, and you can do an amazing amount of pressure. ViBE really fumbled that. He tried to focus down on this Stalker. Look at how much damage was done on this Stalker. It should have all been done on this Forge. You make 2 different paths. One over here where the pylon was, one where the Forge was. It really stops your opponent's ability to actually put down those great force fields. The force field went down over here, and then he's like, well, crap, I have to kill that Forge. A lot of damage should have been done to that Forge instead. So I felt like ViBE really misplayed that. He's fighting from behind for the rest of this game.
Well, ViBE, well, he's going to try to tech up on 2 base and see if he can solve the situation by getting a lot of high-expensive units, or sorry, high-tech units like upgraded Roaches, Zerglings, as well as some Evo Chamber upgrades. Meanwhile, we see Alicia going for, just like you said, Andre, just powering off gateways, getting a Warp Prism, and being able to move out into the middle of the map. And, I mean, there's no third base for him to attack. His supply count is very nice. Alicia is supply block, though.
Yeah, momentarily.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can see 4 pylons in queue right now. Alicia thinks there is a third base. When he sees, oh, there's no third base, he's going to be super happy. It's like, oh, wow, I'm actually a lot farther ahead than I thought I was. He's going to take down these rocks. He still thinks that there's a third base, and his opponent's going to Zergling Roaches. Now, that actually helps out ViBE substantially. With these Infestors popping out and the amount of sentries that are being out on the field, if Alicia actually tries to go into the natural, and he gets these critical fungals, then yes, you can actually lose out right here. If he loses every single one of these sentries, the game's over. I shouldn't say that, but ViBE has a fighting chance. We're going to see that right now. Oh, beautiful fungal on all of the sentries. Ooh. He's going to chain him. He needs one more to actually kill them all.
Comes another one. Oh, denied. The Professor wants to get close. He wants to drop one last one. He does. Some of the sentries, but man, Alicia avoided a huge pitfall.
You can see how far ahead Alicia really is. This is only 6 gateways. You could go all the way up to 8 gateways. It's just not enough, Rodan. The Infestors get picked off right away. We're going to see a GG coming out from ViBE any time right now. A quick first game. ViBE has a failed all-in attempt, really botches his, I guess, control, and because of that, Alicia is just going to take the quick win. Very nicely done. 1-0 for the Korean Protoss.
Well, that's too bad for ViBE, because ViBE had a really interesting attack, and I say interesting because it could have gone really well or really poorly, and it unfortunately went really poorly because of the state of things. I got to commend Alicia for his, even something subtle, like, again, the force field placement, it could have been a little bit to the left, and that means more Roaches can be attacking the cannon, more Roaches can be in. Because of the way everything was squeezed in, very deliberate, and he made as tight as possible squeeze. Only one Roach was able to attack the cannon at a time, and as a result, a lot of DPS come out solved for the Immortal come out.
I'm not a big fan of that all-in, though, Frodan. There's a couple all-ins that you can do when you're Zerg against Protoss. I think any of the all-ins that you do in the early game stages, you need to actually rely on Zerglings, speed Zerglings to actually do all your damage, because the reinforcement is going to be so hard. Yes, Ohana is one of our smaller maps, but still, that's a very long rush distance. And when you get that many Roaches, if they get shut down whatsoever, you don't have the ability to push those Zerglings in because they don't have metabolic speed. You haven't upgraded that at all. So I wouldn't mind actually scaling back a little bit, take off 4 of those roaches and get metabolic boost, and then you can just rush in with a ton of Zerglings directly after that. That would have been a lot more profitable. Instead, what you had was the roaches got shut down, a single Immortal comes out, and it's over. Even if it was Void Ray, I feel like the same thing is going to happen. The Void Ray comes out, kills all the roaches, then you have these slow Zerglings. They can't really reinforce. You get Zealots, and you're fine.
Game number 1 was brought to you by ASL Monitors. Check them out at asl.com/NA for a review of all their brands and their great production monitor technology. When we come back, game number 2 between ViBE and Alicia. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.